So we know that right across the country, people have had a really hard time over the past few years. And that's why we want to expand the mental health support that's available. And as Shadow Minister for Employment, this isn't just about making sure that people have got the good public services that they need and can have a good quality of life. This is also part of our growth plan. At the moment, we have got too many people who aren't able to work or do the kind of work that they really want to, and that's holding back our economy too. So we are going to close the private equity loophole, bring that tax in that we should have, and make sure that we've got the public service that we want, particularly in mental health, to make sure that people can really get into the kind of work that they want to do.
I guess the thing with proper growth is that it takes time, and the Labour Party are pinning a lot of their hopes on fast growth. What happens if that doesn't happen?
Well, I think we've seen what can happen if the economy doesn't grow over the past 14 years, because people have been through a lot. We've had the consequences of austerity. We've had the bad Brexit deal that Boris Johnson bequeathed the country. And then we've had the pandemic and the Tory chaos surrounding that with Liz Truss.
Okay, but this isn't about the Conservatives. This is about your plan. How are you going to guarantee growth? Is that just a hope, or is that a cast iron guarantee? And if so, how are you going to guarantee it?
It's not just a hope, it's a costed plan for growth. And fair enough, I want to talk about the future, actually. I don't want to spend all my time talking about the terrible legacy of the Conservatives. I just point out that's what happens. If you have chaos in your politics, you end up with a poorly performing economy and you can't invest in your public services. We've set out our first steps where we know where we can bring money in reasonably, tax that should be collected, and where we can invest that in our public services to help our economy grow. In addition to that, we want to get cracking on our plan to switch on Great British Energy. That will mean new jobs created in industrial parts of the country. And we also want to deal with the problems in our planning system so that we can build homes and create places for people to live and an economy that's functioning. So we've got a plan for growth that will help our economy move on. Of course, this is a project and a plan that will take time, but in those first steps, we've shown where we can get the economy moving.
The IFS says that you're basically part of what they call a conspiracy of silence. Are they wrong? And if so, why?
Well, the thing that I would say to the IFS is that it's completely reasonable for them to scrutinise all parties' plans, and I think that's a helpful thing. They're suggesting what could happen if we don't get that growth in our economy, and that's why I've just set out what our plan is to move our economy on from 14 wasted years. I think about the jobs that we will be creating to produce new energy supply. And I want to be the minister who changes our job centres so that people, who at the moment and are either not working or are not doing well-paid jobs, so we get them into those engineering careers that will help grow our economy and give families a better future. And I think we can do that. And what I would say to the IFS is we've got a broader plan for growth that will mean that our public services are sustainable. And because we're going to sustain our public services, that will help our growth in the future. We've seen the opposite under the Tories, and I think we can turn it around.
But I guess the thing is, the IFS have been listening to your plans, they have been watching your manifesto, and they are still saying that not just the Labour Party, but including the Labour Party, are not being straight with people. I guess the problem that the public often have with politicians is trust. So how can the Labour Party be trusted when you're basically saying the IFS is wrong when they are actually listening to you?
No, I'm not arguing with the IFS. I'm responding to the points that they make and that you've rightly put to me. The thing that I want to explain is that we've set out our first steps because we need immediate action to address the crisis in our public services. And we also have long-term missions, particularly facing the challenge that we've got to change our energy supply, which will also grow our economy. That investment that Rachel Reeves has set out to switch on Great British Energy have for the first time a national wealth fund that will help underpin a much stronger economy will then help our economy grow. And I think it's right for independent organisations to scrutinise the words of politicians. And if people want to, they can look at the costings in our manifesto and, check that they think that that's right. I think that's the opposite way of doing things from what we saw under Liz Truss and what we're now seeing with Rishi Sunak. So I welcome the scrutiny, but I would say we've got a plan that is both setting out immediate first steps and also a longer term mission to change our economy and make it more sustainable. And it's the combination of those two things that will make sure that we don't have any return to austerity, and we can also create good jobs and help with family finances too.